Initiate countdown to review. 3, 2, 1.
ElChizzoReviews.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to ElChizzoReviews. Today we're looking at a toy that I have very mixed feelings for. This is Revenge of the Fallen Dirge. Yes, this is essentially the mold for all the Conehead Seekers, and it's interesting to say the least. We're gonna start off in jet mode because this is honestly one of the few good points of the movie toy line to me. Unlike most other jet formers, it doesn't just keep its robot kibble exposed under its belly. Everything is nicely shaped, except for, the very obvious cannons under the wings. Of course, there is a little kibble on the underside, but nothing near what we've come to expect from something like this. The cockpit is nice. Kinda. They gave it a pilot seat, which is cool. If I can bring that up. Yep, so you can see it right in there. But you can also clearly see what is going to be the robot hand directly behind the seat. The only other thing to say about this mode is the color scheme, which is really odd. Not bad odd, just odd. 'Cause you see, the way this bluish green and this almost reddish, I want to say almost bronzish metal flake paint come together in a really intriguing way. But you know what? That's all I can say for this mode. So now we'll get this thing transformed. And by we, I mean Dave. Dave!
No!
Come on, just get it over with.
Why can't you do it?
Because I don't want to. Now get in here. Transforming it feel, Dave?
It left me hollow and unsatisfied.
That sounds about right. Now that we're in robot mode, we can see a lot more black plastic and silver paint, and little spots of yellow here and there as well. And this shade of yellow most certainly does not belong on this toy. Not to mention that you can already see the color of the green coming through in spots where it's thinner, but let's try to move on. We can also see some gold-colored plastic with very visible swirling, which means that these parts do not have long. He's also very weirdly proportioned if you haven't noticed already, but that's to be expected from anything inspired by the Bayformers, with its weird stubby arms and legs that go on for miles. As we can see from his right arm, which is where the cockpit and nose ended up, he's an asymmetrical transforming kind of guy. I have to give them credit for trying to be unique, but honestly it didn't end up well. And for some weird reason, they left him his cone head, even though the nose cone is about 2 miles due west of his neck. He has some light piping, but it's so hard to... I apologize, it seems to have come undone a little bit. Gonna have to... plug that back in. As I was saying, he does have light piping, but it is so small that it is impossible to trigger it in any kind of way. Let's see if I can... Nope, I can't. It's there, but it's boring anyway. So it might as well not be there. As far as articulation goes, his head swivels left and right. Nothing too spectabulous. He's got universal shoulders, and when you rotate him, if the camera will pick this up, those gears in his chest rotate. But the gear gimmick is just barely noticeable. it's not a big deal because it doesn't intrude on the toy, but it's also like the opposite end of the lousy gimmick spectrum. You know, other reviewers, take TJ for Omega for example, hate it when a toy's gimmick takes up the entire toy and just overall ruins the toy, and I agree with them. But at the same time, if your gimmick is going to be this small, then, you know, there's just no point. Don't even bother. And you see, this is why we remove the missiles when we do a review. As a matter of fact, I'll remove the other one for now. Found this one too. But yeah, maybe I'm just being picky, I don't know. What sucks is this is the Conehead Seeker mold for the Revenge of the Fallen, which means that all of the Seekers are going to have this gimmick, and that just disappoints me. Moving on, he has elbows, but if you want to display him with his cannons on his upper arms, as Seekers, classic Seekers anyway, tend to be, the only way you're doing that is by taking these cannons along for the ride. Especially if you've got the missiles in them. So if you want to get good elbow range, skip the cannons. We'll just take those off. By the way, while I've got this pointed out, they do plug into here in the jet mode, but the ports are just above the elbow in robot mode. And they plug in using this peg here. But yeah, you're not going to get much range out of them. Certainly not out of this thing. So stiff because it has to be. It's a transformation joint as well. And then when you try to move upwards, it bangs into the shoulder. It's not fun. There is a transformation joint that could have been used as a waist joint, and it's right along here. But this pseudo cockpit and his back kibble lock into place so he can't even utilize it. I'll disengage this part of the transformation just to show you what I mean. And by the way, that travels for miles. But yeah, see? A wasted waist joint. Oh dear God, I just made a pun. Moving on. He has ball-jointed hips, but the outward range falls kind of short. Let me get a good look at that ball joint. Come on, autofocus. Yeah, that's about all you're getting for outward motion. But it doesn't matter anyway, because wings would get in the way regardless. And, you know, he's got the expected forward and backward. What's kind of cool is he has double-jointed knees, but this wing kibble, which I have no idea what to do with, is constantly in the way. I think it's meant to rotate down here, but that just obstructs the knee even more. I don't know. Maybe there's a fan transformation I can utilize. And then he's got ankles, kinda? He's got this weird assembly of swivels and hinges that connect his calves to these impossible thruster feet that take ages for him to stand on. I mean, it took, I think, a full 15 minutes alone just to get him to stand up for that the shot between jet and robot mode. All in all, Dirge tries really hard to be good. And in some areas, he actually comes really close. What with the references to his G1 counterpart, creative ideas with the asymmetrical transformation, but in so many other ways, usually connected to those two as well, he falls so terribly short. I cannot recommend this toy unless you have a major attachment to the character. And even then, Maybe put him on the back of the shelf. I'm starting to get sick of looking at this thing. Dave, get your gun blade. Get rid of it.
KO!